He isolates you for a reason. Do not despair by Earl Nightingale. Lesson 1. The Sacred Purpose of Solitude. There is a profound difference between being alone and being lonely, a distinction as vast as the difference between darkness and light. In our journey through life, we often encounter seasons of solitude that feel, at first glance, like abandonment. But I want to tell you something important. When he isolates you, there's always a magnificent purpose behind it. Throughout history, the greatest thinkers, inventors, and spiritual leaders experienced crucial periods of isolation. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before leading his people to freedom. Jesus withdrew to the desert for 40 days. Einstein developed his most revolutionary theories during solitary walks. These weren't coincidences. They were divine appointments with destiny. You see, isolation creates the perfect environment for the most important conversation you'll ever have, the one with yourself. It's in these quiet moments that the noise of the world fades away, leaving only the essential truths that have always been waiting for you to discover them. The most critical battlefield in your life isn't found in your circumstances or relationships. It's the 6 inches between your ears. That's where your future is truly determined. When God brings you into isolation, He's inviting you to engage in this inner work without distraction. Consider the caterpillar entering its chrysalis. To all appearances, it has retreated from the world, hidden away in isolation. But what appears as a withdrawal is actually a powerful transformation in progress. The caterpillar doesn't just change. It completely dissolves its former self before reforming as something new and beautiful. This metamorphosis cannot happen in the open. It requires the sacred space of isolation. Your period of solitude is your chrysalis, not a punishment, but a privilege. It's the workshop where your character is being refined, your purpose clarified, and your spirit strengthened. When you find yourself alone, instead of asking, "Why am I by myself?" try asking, "What am I meant to discover in this season?" Instead of counting the hours until your isolation ends, use them as precious opportunities to explore the landscape of your heart and mind. Take a moment each day to sit in silence. Listen to your thoughts as they arise, observing them without judgment. Write down your deepest desires and greatest fears. Speak aloud your hopes and dreams, letting your own voice fill the empty spaces around you. These simple practices will transform your perception of alone time from a burden to a blessing. Remember that a seed planted in the ground appears to be buried, but it is actually being positioned for growth. Your isolation isn't a burial. It's a planting. The darkness around you isn't an ending. It's the beginning of something wonderful. So do not despair when you find yourself alone. Instead, recognize that you've been called apart for a season, because there's important work to be done in solitude that simply cannot happen any other way. Your time of isolation has been measured precisely by divine wisdom. Trust the process, embrace the solitude, and watch as it produces in you something more beautiful than you could have imagined. Lesson 2. The whisper you can only hear in silence. I want to share something profound with you today, my friend. Have you ever noticed how the most important messages in life don't come shouting at you? No, they come as whispers, gentle nudges that require your full attention to perceive. These whispers hold the answers we seek, but there's a catch. You can only hear them in silence. Think about it. When was the last time you had a genuine revelation while scrolling through social media or with the television blaring in the background? Those moments of clarity, those instants when the path forward suddenly becomes visible, almost always arrive during moments of quiet reflection. This is no accident. The universe, God if you will, has designed us to receive our most valuable guidance when we step away from the noise, the constant chatter of modern life, the opinions, the entertainment, the endless stream of information, creates a barrier between you and the whispers meant specifically for you. Throughout history, we see this pattern repeated in the lives of those who achieve greatness. Moses encountered the burning bush not in the busy markets of Egypt, but in the solitude of the wilderness. Jesus received clarity about his purpose during 40 days alone in the desert. Einstein formulated his most revolutionary theories during quiet walks and moments of solitary contemplation. The connection between silence and clarity is as real as the chair you're sitting in. When external noise diminishes, your internal wisdom amplifies. It's like tuning a radio. When you eliminate the static, the true broadcast comes through with perfect clarity. Many of us fear silence. We fill every moment with sound and stimulation because quiet moments force us to confront ourselves. Yet it's precisely this confrontation that leads to growth. When God isolates you, He's creating the perfect conditions for you to hear what you need to hear. You don't need complicated practices to create meaningful silence in your life. Start small. Turn off the radio during your morning commute. Take a walk without your phone. Sit in your backyard for 15 minutes with no agenda except to listen. These simple acts create openings for those divine whispers to reach you. Clarity rarely comes all at once. It arrives in fragments and quiet moments strung together over time. The person who listens in silence today may not receive the full message until tomorrow or next week. Patience combined with consistent, quiet attention is the key. Most importantly, understand that when life forces isolation upon you, it may be because there's a message you're meant to receive that can't compete with all the noise that normally surrounds you. Your isolation is not a punishment. It's a direct line to wisdom that would otherwise be drowned out. Today, make a commitment to yourself. Carve out spaces of silence in your life, even if just for a few minutes at first. Be attentive during these moments. Listen not just with your ears, but with your heart and mind. The whispers will come, and when they do, they will guide you toward your true purpose and highest good. The silence you embrace today contains the answers you'll need tomorrow. Lesson 3. Sowing seeds in private that bloom in public. There is a marvelous law of nature that serves us well to remember, friends. It is simply this. All great achievements begin with quiet, unseen preparation. The majestic oak that stands before you started as a modest acorn growing in silence beneath the soil. And so it is with your life during these periods of isolation. I've studied the lives of extraordinary men and women throughout history, and I've discovered that their moments of greatest triumph were preceded by lengthy seasons of private cultivation. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before leading his people to freedom. Joseph endured imprisonment before rising to leadership. In every significant case, there was a period of unseen development. This is the principle I wish to share with you today. What you do in private ultimately determines what you achieve in public. Think about the farmer who understands this truth intimately. He doesn't fret when his seeds disappear into the dark soil. He doesn't dig them up every day to check their progress. He simply trusts the process, knowing that invisible growth precedes visible results. You are now in this planting season. God has isolated you not to punish you, but to prepare you. This is your greenhouse, your workshop, your training ground. Every minute invested in personal growth during this time will compound into remarkable value when the season changes. What kind of seeds should you be planting? Seeds of knowledge through reading and learning? Seeds of character through testing and persistence? Seeds of skill through patient practice when no one is watching or applauding? The person who develops discipline in isolation develops power for a lifetime. Remember this. What others see as your overnight success will actually be the result of countless unseen hours. The concert pianist who mesmerizes an audience has played when no one was listening. The author whose words move millions has written when no one was reading. The leader who inspires masses has developed conviction when no one was following. Your isolation is not a waiting room. It is a workshop. It is not a prison. It is a greenhouse. It is a greenhouse. Each day offers fresh soil in which to plant something of value. Let me suggest a simple practice. Each morning, ask yourself, what seed can I plant today that will bear fruit in my future? Perhaps it's mastering a new skill, strengthening your health, deepening your spiritual understanding, or cultivating emotional resilience. Then, with deliberate care, plant that seed through focused action. Don't be discouraged by the lack of immediate results or recognition. The most important growth happens underground, out of sight. Nature never rushes, yet everything is accomplished. Your development follows this same divine pattern. In time, the seeds you plant in private will inevitably bloom in public. The character you build in solitude will sustain you in the crowd. The clarity you gain in quiet will guide you in chaos. The strength you develop in isolation will support you in opportunity. This is the magnificent promise. What God is doing within you now will eventually express itself through you later. The seeds of your future success are being sown in the private garden of your present isolation. Trust this process, dear friend. Your time alone is not wasted. It is invested, and the returns will be greater than you can imagine. Lesson 4. Divine Pruning. When God removes people. There is a magnificent gardener who watches over the landscape of your life. With expert hands and perfect timing, he sometimes removes people from your path, not as protection, but as protection. This divine pruning is one of the most misunderstood gifts we receive. I've observed throughout history that extraordinary achievement often follows periods when important relationships have ended. This is no coincidence. The architect of your destiny understands that certain connections, regardless of how comfortable or familiar they may feel, serve as anchors rather than sails in your journey. Consider the rose bush. The gardener doesn't hesitate to cut away branches, even those with buds, when they drain energy from the plant. This apparent loss creates the conditions for more magnificent blooms. In the same way, when God removes people from your life, He is redirecting your precious energy toward your highest purpose. The principle operates with mathematical precision. Subtraction leads to multiplication. By removing one relationship that consumes your vitality, 5 opportunities for growth suddenly appear. The equation never fails. You may protest, but this separation hurts. Indeed, it does. The pruning shears of divine wisdom are sharp and decisive. Yet within this temporary pain lies permanent purpose. The discomfort you feel today is creating space for tomorrow's blessings. People who will water your growth rather than drain it. Ask yourself, who has recently exited my life? Rather than dwelling in resentment or confusion, find gratitude in these separations. Perhaps that friendship that dissolved was keeping you tethered to old patterns. The romantic relationship that ended may have been distracting you from your true calling. The family member who grew distant might have been subtly undermining your confidence. The great paradox is this. In removing these connections, God isn't isolating you. He's preparing you for more authentic community. He's teaching you discernment. Not everyone deserves access to your energy, dreams, and vulnerabilities. Some are assigned to a season, not a lifetime. During this pruning period, conduct a relationship inventory. Which connections consistently leave you feeling depleted rather than inspired? Who celebrates your growth versus who seems threatened by it? Who speaks to your potential versus who keeps reminding you of your past mistakes? The answers reveal which relationships truly serve your highest purpose. Jesus himself regularly withdrew from crowds and even close disciples. Moses spent 40 years in Midian before his greatest work began. Joseph's journey to leadership required painful separation from family. Divine pruning has always preceded divine purpose. So when you find yourself with fewer companions than before, stand tall in this knowledge. The master gardener hasn't abandoned his work. He's simply removing what limits your growth. The very hand that prunes also plants. New connections with deeper roots and sweeter fruit await you, connections that will sustain rather than strain your journey. This season of divine pruning isn't punishment. It's preparation for a life more magnificent than you've yet imagined. Lesson 5. The Desert Before the Promised Land. I want to share with you today a profound truth that has transformed countless lives throughout history. The desert experience, that barren, lonely period of isolation, always comes before the promised land. This pattern repeats itself with remarkable consistency in the lives of those who achieve greatness and fulfill their divine purpose. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before he was prepared to lead God's people. Joseph endured years in prison before his elevation to leadership in Egypt. David lived as a fugitive in caves before ascending to his throne. Even Jesus himself withdrew to the desert for 40 days before beginning his public ministry. This is no coincidence, my friend. The desert serves a sacred purpose. Think of the desert as God's preparation ground. It's in these dry, uncomfortable places where our character is formed in ways that cannot happen in comfortable surroundings. The desert strips away distractions and forces us to confront our true selves. It reveals our weaknesses, our dependencies, our false beliefs, all the things that would hinder us in the promised land if left unaddressed. In isolation, we develop resilience. Each day in the desert requires choices. Will you give up or press forward? Will you complain about the circumstances or find meaning within them? The muscles of perseverance grow stronger only through resistance. Your promised land will demand strength you can only develop in the desert. The desert also purifies our motives. When all external rewards are removed, when no one is watching or applauding, why do you continue? This is where you discover what truly drives you. Those who serve only for recognition or reward often abandon their path in the desert. But those who discover an inner purpose, a calling that transcends circumstances, emerge from isolation with an unshakable commitment. There's a wonderful paradox at work here. Your desert experience feels intensely personal, yet it connects you to a timeless human journey. Every great leader, every person of profound impact has walked through their own wilderness. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. The desert also provides clarity impossible to find elsewhere. Without the noise and influence of others, your authentic voice emerges. Many discover their true purpose not in crowded rooms of opportunity, but in silent moments of reflection. Your desert will not last forever. The promised land awaits. But rushing this process short-circuits the very transformation necessary for you to thrive once you arrive. The Israelites were not ready to enter their promised land immediately after leaving Egypt. They required wilderness training to shed their slave mentality and develop faith. So embrace your desert season. Find meaning in the discomfort. The isolation you feel today is not a detour. It is the direct route to your divine appointment. The desert is not empty. It is filled with lessons that will serve as your foundation for years to come. Remember, what feels like abandonment is actually assignment. Your desert is preparing you for a purpose greater than you can currently imagine. Do not despair. Lesson 6. Your thoughts determine your destination. The greatest discovery of our generation is the knowledge that people can change the aspects of their lives by altering their attitudes of mind. What you're thinking about right now is determining the person you'll become, the life you'll lead, and the destiny you'll fulfill. During times of isolation, when the noise of the world dims and the opinions of others fade away, we find ourselves alone with our thoughts. This solitude provides the perfect environment for what I call controlled thinking, the deliberate direction of our mental energies toward constructive outcomes. I've often said that we become what we think about, and nowhere is this principle more powerfully applied than during periods of isolation. When God separates you from others, He's creating space for your mind to transform. He's giving you the opportunity to plant seeds of greatness through careful thought cultivation. Think of your mind as a garden. The thoughts you allow to take root will eventually grow into the reality you experience. During isolation, you have the rare privilege of being the exclusive gardener of your mental landscape. No competing influences, no contradicting voices. Just you, making choices about what to plant, what to nurture, and what to remove. Take inventory of your current thought patterns. Are you spending your mental energy worrying about your circumstances? Are you replaying past hurts? Or are you replaying past hurts? Or are you directing your thoughts toward possibilities, solutions, and growth? The quality of your isolation experience depends entirely on this choice. A ship in the harbor is directed by its rudder, even when appearing motionless to observers. Similarly, your thoughts are silently determining your direction, especially when your life seems externally unchanged. The person who thinks constructively during isolation will emerge transformed, while the person who thinks destructively will only reinforce their limitations. Try this simple exercise. Spend 15 minutes each day in complete quiet, directing your thoughts toward the person you wish to become. See yourself embodying the qualities you admire. Imagine yourself successfully navigating the challenges you face. Picture the contributions you'll make when this season concludes. Do this faithfully, and you'll be amazed at how your internal reality begins reshaping your external circumstances. God has given you this time of isolation not as punishment, but as opportunity. He's provided space for you to align your thinking with His higher purpose for your life. The greatest achievers throughout history understood that their thought life was the foundation of their success. They guarded their minds carefully, especially during periods of solitude. Remember, isolation restricts your body but not your mind. Your thoughts remain free to explore, create, and transform. While others may see only your present limitations, you can use this time to develop the mental patterns that will determine your future victories. Your isolation may be temporary, but the thought habits you develop during this time will shape your life long after it ends. God has separated you not to limit you, but to give your mind the freedom to grow in precisely the direction He's designed for you. Lesson 7. Building your inner circle from within. As we travel through this marvelous journey called life, there comes a time when we must learn the most profound truth of human existence. The quality of your relationship with yourself determines the quality of your life. This, dear friend, is the magnificent purpose behind those seasons of isolation that God orchestrates in our lives. I've often observed that most people run from solitude as if it were a dreaded disease, filling every moment with noise, distraction, and the constant presence of others. But what if I told you that within the quiet chambers of your own company lies a wealth of wisdom waiting to be discovered? When you find yourself alone, separated from the crowd, you are being given a rare gift, the opportunity to become your own best companion. Think of it. The average person spends nearly all their waking hours in the company of others or distracted by entertainment, never truly meeting themselves. Yet those who achieve greatness invariably describe pivotal moments of self-discovery that occurred when they were completely alone. You see, it is only in solitude that you can hear your authentic voice, not the voice that has been programmed by others' expectations or society's demands. This authentic self is your true power center. When you learn to trust this inner voice, you develop a kind of self-reliance that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. Consider how many people live their entire lives seeking validation from others. They are like ships without rudders, blown about by every wind of opinion. But the person who has learned to be their own trusted companion stands firm amid life's storms. During your period of isolation, ask yourself these simple questions. What do I truly think? What do I honestly desire? Who am I when no one is watching? The answers may surprise you, for they often differ dramatically from the person you've presented to the world. The wonderful secret of isolation is this. Once you've established this unshakable relationship with yourself, you'll never again feel the desperate need for others to complete you. Rather, you'll bring a wholeness to your future relationships that creates connections of extraordinary depth and meaning. The greatest leaders throughout history, those who changed the world, first mastered the art of being alone. They understood that external silence creates internal clarity, and from that clarity springs purpose and direction. So embrace this period of being set apart. Use this time to speak kindly to yourself, to listen to your deeper wisdom, and to cultivate self-trust. Practice making decisions based on your own inner knowing rather than external approval. Notice how this builds a quiet confidence that will serve you for the remainder of your days. Your isolation is not a punishment, but preparation. It is during this sacred time that you are building your inner circle from within, establishing the most important relationship you'll ever have. When this foundation is secure, you'll discover that all your other relationships improve automatically, for you'll no longer approach them from a place of need, but from a place of wholeness. Lesson 8. The Hidden Blessing of Feeling Left Behind. This is Earl Nightingale, and today we're going to explore one of life's most misunderstood experiences, the feeling of being left behind. Have you ever watched as friends move forward while you seem to stand still? Perhaps you've seen colleagues receive promotions while you remained in place. Maybe you've observed acquaintances finding love and companionship while you walk alone. These moments can sting deeply, can't they? But what if I told you that being set apart isn't a punishment, but a protection? The truth is that isolation often serves as divine protection. Like a master gardener who separates a special plant for particular attention, God sometimes places us apart from others because He has something unique in mind for our development. This separation creates a perspective that cannot be gained when we're caught in the current of collective thinking and common paths. Consider the mighty oak tree. It doesn't grow in the midst of the forest where it would be shaded by its neighbors. No, the most magnificent oaks stand alone in open fields where they can stretch their limbs in all directions, developing strength through storms that others never face. Their isolation isn't a punishment. It's what allows them to become majestic. When you feel left behind, you're actually being given the gift of developing outside mainstream influence. The crowd travels well-worn paths, but innovation and discovery happen on untraveled roads. History's most influential figures often spent significant time apart from conventional thinking. This separation allowed them to see what others couldn't and to develop ideas that changed the world. Your timing is not wrong. It's individual. A master watchmaker adjusts each gear to move at precisely the right moment. Your life operates on divine timing, not social expectations. The delay you're experiencing may be protecting you from situations you're not yet equipped to handle or positioning you for an opportunity that hasn't yet arrived. Instead of viewing your isolation as evidence of being forgotten, recognize it as proof that you're being specifically prepared. The attention a craftsman gives to a single piece is not neglect of the others, but recognition of that piece's particular purpose. When you feel the ache of being left behind, consider these thoughts. What perspective are you gaining that would be impossible in a crowd? What strength are you developing through standing alone? What clarity comes from separation that would be clouded by constant company? Look at your isolation as the space in which your unique voice can develop without being drowned out by others. Consider it the training ground where your particular strengths can be honed without comparison or compromise. My friend, feeling left behind is not your punishment. It's your preparation. The very separation that causes pain today is sculpting you for purpose tomorrow. Trust the process, embrace the position, and know that your unique timing is not an accident, but an advantage. Your isolation is not evidence of being forsaken. It is proof that you are being fashioned for something specific. And that is a blessing that many who race ahead in the crowd will never know. Lesson 9. When God closes all other doors. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where every path you tried to take was blocked, where every door you attempted to open remained firmly shut? My friends, this is not a coincidence, nor is it merely bad luck. This is divine redirection at work in your life. When God closes all other doors, He's not restricting you. He's focusing you. He's focusing you. Think of a river that flows between two mountain ranges. The mountains don't impede the river. They channel its power. Without those natural boundaries, the water would spread thin across a plain, becoming a shallow, stagnant marsh. But contained between those mighty walls of stone, the river becomes powerful, purposeful, and unstoppable. Your limitations are serving exactly the same purpose. They are channeling your energy toward the one thing you're meant to accomplish. Throughout history, many of the world's greatest achievements have come from people who had no choice but to focus on the one path left open to them. Helen Keller, unable to see or hear, channeled her energy into becoming one of the most influential writers and activists of her time. Nelson Mandela, confined to a prison cell for 27 years, focused his mind and spirit on forgiveness and unity, emerging as the perfect leader to heal a divided nation. The principle at work is simple. Constraint creates clarity. When all other options are removed, you can finally see the one option that truly matters. This is why God occasionally arranges for us to be hedged in on all sides, not to frustrate us, but to direct us toward our true purpose with laser-like precision. When you find yourself in such a situation, resist the temptation to beat against closed doors. Instead, look carefully for the window that has been left open. It may be small. It may not be where you expected to find it, but I promise you, it is there. Your task is to approach your constraints with curiosity rather than frustration. Ask yourself, what is this situation trying to teach me? What skills am I developing through this limitation? Where is the opportunity hidden within this restriction? Where is the opportunity hidden within this restriction? The answers may surprise you. Perhaps you're being directed to develop patience you never knew you needed. Maybe you're being guided to discover talents you didn't realize you possessed. It could be that you're being protected from paths that would have led you away from your true calling. A key only works in the lock it was designed for. Your unique set of circumstances, even the difficult ones, are shaping you into the exact key needed to unlock your purpose. The doors that have closed are not your enemies. They are your guides, silently pointing you toward the one door that matters. So if you find yourself isolated with options seemingly removed, take heart. This is not punishment, it's preparation. This is not rejection, it's redirection. This is not the end of your journey. It's not the end of your journey. It's the beginning of the path you were always meant to walk. Your isolation has purpose. Your limitations have meaning. And the day will come when you'll look back and thank God for every door He closed, because they led you to the one door that was truly yours to open. Lesson 10. The Harvest After the Wait. The seeds of greatness require time beneath the soil before they break through to the light. Just as surely as day follows night, the harvest will come after your season of waiting. This is one of life's most dependable principles. I've observed throughout history that the people who achieve truly remarkable things share one common trait. They understand the value of patience during isolation. They recognize that this waiting period isn't empty time, but rather the necessary preparation for abundance to come. Think about the mighty oak tree. It doesn't rush its growth or compare its timeline to the quick sprouting weeds nearby. The oak's strength comes precisely from its slow, steady development, often taking decades to reach its full potential. Your period of isolation works the same way, building in a strength that couldn't develop any other way. During these quiet seasons, something remarkable happens inside you. Character qualities essential for lasting success take root and grow. Persistence, determination, self-reliance. These aren't qualities that develop in comfortable circumstances or constant company. They require the resistance of waiting, the challenge of continuing when results aren't immediately visible. I've found that delayed gratification may be the most valuable skill you can develop during isolation. In our world of instant, the ability to work toward distant rewards gives you an extraordinary advantage. While others chase quick results, you're building something that will endure. Consider this isolation period as your training ground. Athletes understand that championship performances aren't created on game day. They're built during lonely practice sessions when no one is watching. Your isolation is that practice field preparing you for moments that haven't yet arrived. The most important thing to remember during your wait is that a harvest absolutely depends on your faithfulness today. What you plant now determines what you'll reap later. Are you using this time to nurture positive thoughts, develop valuable skills, and strengthen your spirit? Or are you allowing bitterness and doubt to take root? Take joy in small growth. Just as a farmer might check his fields and notice the first tiny sprouts breaking through, you too should celebrate evidence of progress in your life. Perhaps you handle stress better than before. Maybe you've developed greater clarity about your purpose. These are signs that your waiting isn't in vain. As your period of isolation continues, maintain an expectation of good things ahead. The farmer doesn't plant seeds, then spend his days worried about failure. He anticipates harvest. Similarly, your confidence in future fulfillment actually helps create it. You move toward what you truly expect. The waiting itself is developing something precious within you that couldn't form any other way. Like fruit ripening in its season, some outcomes simply cannot be rushed. Trust that your isolation has purpose and that the harvest, when it comes, will be exactly right in its timing. Your patience during this season isn't passive submission. It's active preparation for abundance to come. Lesson 11. Finding Your Tribe After the Wilderness. This is Earl Nightingale, and today we're exploring one of life's most remarkable transitions, emerging from isolation to discover your authentic tribe. After walking through the wilderness of solitude, you become different. Your eyes see clearer, your heart understands deeper, and your spirit knows with certainty what truly matters. This transformation is precisely why God placed you in isolation to begin with, not to punish you, but to prepare you. When you've spent meaningful time alone, you develop an internal compass that points unerringly toward truth. You can feel, almost immediately, when someone resonates with your purpose or when they don't. This isn't about being judgmental. It's about being discerning. The wilderness has taught you to value your path too much to share it with those heading in opposite directions. Your tribe won't be found through desperate searching. Rather, they will appear as naturally as rain follows clouds when you stand firmly in your authentic self. This is the principle of attraction after growth. Like a garden that blooms, your personal development creates a natural fragrance that draws the right people toward you. You need not chase after relationships or compromise your values to avoid being alone. The people who belong in your post-wilderness life will respect the journey that shaped you. They won't ask you to shrink back to your former self or abandon the wisdom you've gained. Instead, they'll celebrate your growth and encourage your continued evolution. When Joseph emerged from prison to become Egypt's leader, he recognized his brothers even when they didn't recognize him. Your time of isolation grants you this same spiritual perception, the ability to identify divine appointments in heaven, arranged connections. Not everyone who approaches you is sent by God, but you'll know the difference. Building meaningful connections after isolation doesn't mean lowering your standards. It means raising them in healthy ways. You now understand that quality of relationship matters infinitely more than quantity. 5 minutes with someone who truly sees you is worth more than years spent with those who look past you. Remember, too, that your tribe may not resemble what you once expected. God often surprises us with unexpected allies and companions who complement precisely what we've become during our isolation. Be open to connections that challenge your preconceptions while confirming your core values. As you build these new relationships, maintain the precious lessons learned in solitude. Don't abandon your sacred quiet times or self-reflection practices. The strength you developed alone now becomes the foundation for how you'll show up in community. Your wilderness experience has given you a tremendous gift, the ability to be fully present and authentic with others because you've learned to be present and authentic with yourself. This is the paradox of divine isolation. What once separated you from others now enables you to connect with unprecedented depth and meaning. Your tribe awaits, not the tribe you once desperately sought, but the one perfectly matched to who you've become. Lesson 12. Your isolation has a graduation date? I'd like to share something remarkable with you today, my friend. Your season of isolation has a definite graduation date. Yes, that's right. Just as surely as winter gives way to spring, your period of divine separation has an appointed end. The greatest minds throughout history understood this fundamental truth. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before leading his people to freedom. Joseph endured years in prison before rising to become second in command in Egypt. Even the most challenging periods of isolation have their conclusion. Think about this. The caterpillar must endure the complete isolation of the chrysalis before emerging as a butterfly. There is no shortcut in this transformation process. The darkness and confinement are absolutely necessary for the miracle that follows. Your isolation serves precisely the same purpose. You see, God is not only preparing you in this season, He's preparing others to receive what you'll bring when you emerge. While you've been developing in private, the stage for your future impact has been quietly assembled. Your audience, your opportunity, your moment is being arranged with divine precision. How will you know when your graduation approaches? Look for these signals. A new sense of clarity about your purpose, increased peace despite unchanged circumstances, budding opportunities that align with your deepest values, and a readiness to serve others rather than focusing on your own discomfort. Many make the mistake of trying to force their way out of isolation prematurely. Premature birth brings complications. Trust the divine timing. The door will open exactly when you're fully prepared to walk through it, not a moment sooner or later. The quality of your isolation directly influences the quality of your emergence. Those who fight against their season of separation often miss its most precious gifts. Those who embrace it emerge with exceptional strength and wisdom that cannot be gained any other way. I've observed that people who use their isolation wisely, to reflect, grow, and prepare, experience the most magnificent breakthroughs afterward. Their influence carries a depth and authenticity that's immediately recognizable. Their words hold weight because they've been tested in crucible of solitude. Your isolation is not punishment. It's preparation. Your separation is not rejection. It's protection. Your solitude is not abandonment. It's advancement. Every day in this season brings you one step closer to your appointed graduation. And when that day arrives, you'll look back with profound gratitude for every moment spent alone with your Creator. You'll understand why certain relationships were removed, why certain doors remained closed, why certain doors remained closed, why certain prayers seemed unanswered. The master plan will reveal itself with perfect clarity. So, take heart today. Your isolation has purpose, meaning, and most importantly, an end date. The same hand that separated you will bring you out again at exactly the right moment. Until then, make every day of preparation count. Your graduation robe is already being prepared, and a ceremony beyond your imagination awaits.